And I like seeing people like step out of their comfort zone to come see something like that. It's amazing how many people turn their nose up at the thought, oh, street art, graffiti. Oh, no, no, no. Like, there's going to be crazy gang, some weird sharks
Right.
versus jet gang crap, I mean, it's like, no, that's not what this is, it's just kind of something that tends to hopefully open minds saying, oh, this is really beautiful. Louisville and the areas around Louisville have some extremely talented people. What else can I see here?
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Interest of the greater good for me to smoke a joint and calm down.
I am the greatest. He'll fall an eight to prove that I'm great. And if he keeps talking Jack, I'm going to cut it to five.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Ville Chillin podcast. Today we have Debra. We had the pleasure of meeting you last year at Via, and we've been meaning to connect for a while. So how have you been?
I have to say, I've had quite a bit of stress lately, but it's been good stress. But otherwise, absolutely great. Absolutely great. We're buying a house, so the stress.
Yes, that comes with a lot, and the housing market's been crazy. So, yeah, definitely understand that. So I think to start off, of course, we know you were at Via last year. You've been at Via for many years, but let's step before that. And when did you get involved in art?
Day one. I was that kid that my family always had like crayons in my hands or pencils, pens, and I would draw all the time. Then they would give me finger paints at a very young age, or Play-Doh, which I'm sure is my parents' worst nightmare at the time.
Oh, it's slime these days.
No, it was interesting though. My mom was telling me about the drawings I did when I was like 3 and 4 years old, where everybody had a pig nose, but it was my perception where I saw people with 2 nostrils.
Yeah.
So I drew pig people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've always done it.
So I guess you just kind of kept that up forever. So what drew you to chalk art then, or when did you get started in chalk art?
Dusty.
Yes. That seems to be a common answer.
I have always loved using, pastels, oil pastels, chalk pastels. Even though I'm predominantly more so a painter, or I do draw a bit too, quite a bit. But Dusty was like, hey, just do this. I'm like, what? She said, come here, do this. I said, okay. For some reason, she's got this weird magic way of which she asks. I just cannot say no. I mean, question it. So I started doing Via. I've done it 10 years, I think. Gosh, I've lost track, honestly. I just count on doing it every year. And each year she's like, oh, here, you're going to do a bigger one and a bigger one. And, it's, oh, Dusty, but I'm so tired. Yeah, that's why you're going to do a 10 by 10. I'm like, okay. Now I love it. I absolutely love it. And the square that I normally do, there's a gentleman named Ray from the United Kingdom. He's from Wales. And he actually flew here for Via Colori. And, oh, my gosh, we just clicked. The 3 of us, Dusty, Ray, and I, we're just holy terrors, And unfortunately, Ray passed away. And so his family, they absolutely started supporting Via. And so, they asked me to do his in honor of square. And I'm like, what do you guys want on it? I'll do it. Because I know a lot of people are like, what in the world are you drawing there? It's like whatever Ray's family wants. But it's always a great challenge,
Yeah.
And it means so much to me to do it.
Well, actually before last year's Via, we actually got to talk to Christine. We had her on an episode. So yeah, we knew going into last year's Via that you were the one because Dusty had already given us some of that background. Um, and so it's really awesome that you bring that up so immediately because when we just talked to Dusty, I had said the memorial paintings were some of my favorites. And especially after talking to Christine and all of that, it was a no brainer. Like I said, I had been meaning to reach out to you, but it's just been crazy. So, um, yeah, we were just looking at last year's painting before joining this call, and it's I guess like a Cthulhu kind of with
Yes.
a panda and
A TARDIS.
a TARDIS, yes, and it's beautiful. And
Thank
it was
you.
so
I
cool to
told you
see.
guys, people were like, what is this woman thinking? Did she drink something? No, Ray, absolutely. His spirit animal was Cthulhu. Okay. And the year before, I did one of the Warhammer Chaos Gods because he was real big into Warhammer. And when I told him I was into Warhammer, he was like, "Holy Mother of God, we're going to talk." So, but
That's amazing.
Dusty Ray and I had a thing for Doctor Who. And she was like, please put a TARDIS in there. I was like, absolutely. And then the family had a special request for a friend of theirs who had passed away to put the panda in. So I'm happy to do that.
That's awesome though. And I mean, you've been doing those. Your piece has been in memoriam to him for the last several years, right? I mean, since he passed, and that's so amazing. Just that level of connection, that level of lore that, I mean, admittedly we had last year, like we knew that kind of going in, and it was really cool to see everything evolve over the weekend last year. And then I don't know if you remember, my aunt was there with us at the end, and she kind of stopped and stepped in and started asking so many questions, and it was such a strange law of attraction in a way. Like she could have picked anybody, and we already knew the story of Ray and everything, and then she happened to stop there and like sit down and start talking to you. So
It was like synchronicity, definitely. Like,
Yeah, she is amazing. Like it was outstanding. And your daughter was there too. I was like, these people are outstanding. Like they brought so much joy just to connect and talk to and just share a moment with. It was such a beautiful day as well. So yeah, serendipity.
it was funny. It was just strange how that worked out, but it was so fun. Yeah,
it really was. And all you guys, oh my gosh, all you guys, when I met you, it was the happiest thing. I was just like, I'm like a ridiculous puppy. I'm like, oh, there's people. I'm gonna go meet them. At least I'm not jumping and licking. So
Well, no, but you have a lot of dogs, don't you? I think I've seen that.
I
You
do.
have quite a few.
Actually, we're down to
big
3.
sweethearts.
I had 4. We had a 24-year-old, and she let us know it was time for her to cross the bridge this year. However, the other 3 make up for the energy. They really do.
Did you say 24 though?
Yep, 24.
That is wild. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Oh man.
I had a doggy that was 20, and I thought that was unheard of.
Right.
24. Wow.
Yeah, she was 24, and I mean, she was still like spicy as they get and fairly spry just up until she was ready to go.
Yeah. Oh man, honest, that gives me so much hope though. My boy Bandit just turned 12, and he's still doing good. I mean, other than his hearing, he's starting to lose a little bit of hearing, but that's amazing though. But yeah, I always see your posts about the dogs and like the dog rescues, and I love it. I love it.
And that's one of my favorite parts about Via too, is all the doggies. There's so many of them.
Yes. Have you seen Ethan? Oh my God.
Is he gonna be there?
I don't fangirl over bands or actors or, athletes. I fangirl over like dogs and like really intelligent people. But Ethan Almighty was up there. And then there's another artist named Alan who I'm lucky enough I get to sit next to him. He rescues a lot of pit bulls. And one of the pitties he's rescued is missing his hind legs. And this little guy's name is Trooper, and it's the perfect name for him. He is off the chain fabulous. So if you get a chance to meet Trooper, definitely give the pup some love.
Definitely gonna be looking for him.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll be there both days for sure since Annabelle's going to be doing art. So I'll be
You're right.
she'll be looking out for any dogs that show up. I know last year there was one like this white puffy dog that was walking around, and I think some people put like chalk on his tail, so he was walking around with the purple tail. And I think the Girl Scouts interviewed the dog.
I think that's so cool. Actually, I have found I need to start looking in the mirror before I go places, because both days last year I left and I had to go shopping, for groceries, things like that. And I'm walking into these places and I am covered in chalk, like nose, forehead.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it was a spectacle.
Look, Annabelle's been practicing her chalk drawing. I got her some actual like pastel chalk so she can at least see what it's like. And yeah, her whole body is just covered. And she was drawing like at the top of the steps. And so when Bandit would one in from the backyard, he's sitting in it. So he was getting his fur tinted as well.
Oh my gosh. Actually, it's so cool. One thing I really love about post Via, I mean, obviously, you get some staining on your hands. You do. I mean, you're messing with it all day for 2 days. And, I work for the Red Cross. And I get my donors, they'll kind of look, and my hands are clean. They're just a little stained. And they'll look and they're like, oh, it was the Street Painting Festival. I mean, granted, it's a little late, but usually I'll see them the next year, or they'll talk to me several times like, when is it again? When is it? And it makes me so happy when they do that, And actually, I did have a donor last year that he was kind of looking, as I was putting gloves on, I was just kind of, stained hands, Street Painting Festival. And he was really interested. And I explained it to him. And I think he told me he wanted to make a large donation to Via. So.
Oh, wow.
I hope
That's
he
awesome.
did.
Yeah. That's cool. It goes to such a good cause too. Everything that they do. I mean, for one, just the money going to Girl Scouts, sending them to camp, helping them afford camp, and stay included in Girl Scouts. And on top of that, the experiences that even Via alone gives these girls. I mean, they had Girl Scouts interviewing people, interviewing artists. We got interviewed by the Girl Scouts last year.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then the STEM zone and everything. It's just amazing. The music.
I love that. And sometimes that's the best support some of these girls have. They may not always have the support, or they may not have access to do certain things like camping. They may not have anyone to help them build skills. Like, hey, let's go interview people. Let's go, do some artwork. They don't necessarily all have access to that.
Yep.
And same with the music, where they pull out the kids from School of Rock. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. We were actually just talking, a couple weeks ago now, I guess. We talked to Dusty and Tim from Hello Wicked. And then
I love him. He is so fabulous. I used to do his square before Ray passed away.
Oh, really? That's awesome. He's a character. It was fun. It was really fun being able to talk to him. The origin story is really good. We got to hear that. And good guy. And then we've also talked to Tony, who runs the Encore School of Music. So, again, going back to the empowerment these kids receive throughout this whole festival is just awesome.
It really, and I love the fact that they have a chance to interact with adults outside of the, you're the adult, I'm the child role. The kids will speak to the artist. They meet the cosplay people, they have all the cool games there, so they're seeing adults in different roles. And that's something I know when I was being raised, I loved like going to work with my mom when I could. I love seeing what do grown-ups do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've talked about how
Now
cool it's
when
gonna.
I see it.
It'll be fun hearing seeing his daughter paint her little square, and then having adults come up and be like, what are you drawing? What do you things like that, and having her have to answer those questions and feel empowered by that. So it is awesome.
Exactly. Right there, she will, right there, she'll be owning her own space and her own creation. And, it's really cool getting to engage. A lot of people are always like, hey, Deb, ADHD, which I fight with the heck of a battle. But, I'm always going to make time to talk to somebody who, is asking about the artwork, asking about, hey, how long have you done this? How did you get into this? Tell us more about it. You got it. I'll tell you everything about it. Good luck getting away from me.
I think that's perfect though, because that's one thing that kind of lacks in society a lot these days. It's such a digital world. So when there's a chance to get out, like we were talking last time with Dusty and Tim, like I said, and they mentioned the fact that like most art festivals, it's like violins playing in the background, or it's this more like prim or proper environment. And here there's kids playing rock music of all kinds, and there's food trucks, there's beer, there's just art of
There's
all
bubbles
kinds,
and
all
candy
genres, and
and-
bubble, yeah, just
So much.
everything that you could really think of, and it's free until you want the food or the beer, of course. But it's
worth the investment on that, I'll say.
it is. It
Good
definitely
returns.
is.
Good returns.
But it's so cool just being able to walk into just, even if somebody just wanted to show up for the food trucks, I said it before, they're going to get a full experience. They're going to see chalk art on the ground that looks like it was painted there, that it's almost should be permanent,
Absolutely.
And it's just an experience. One thing that we've asked everybody who's done chalk art at this point, and of course it's to be expected, but how do you feel knowing that it's going to be washed away within a couple of days after you spent like 2 days working on a single piece?
Honestly, if one person looked at it and had a positive feel, a negative feel, if one person looks at it and it moves them to think twice, I'm great with it, because it created something better. It's a labor of love. Absolutely. I'm having a great time doing it. Maybe I'm frustrated because the color's not laying right. I have a great experience there. But when I step back and I see somebody think, or they're asking a question, like say about Ray, that's fine. You can take it away the next moment. The fact it was kind of like mission accomplished, I
That's
do wish
awesome.
more people could see it, because, oh my gosh, there are so many talented people there. I look and I'm
There
like,
are.
oh my goodness. I just see these
Yeah.
wonderful artists. I see all the work that they're doing. I mean, I'll admit, sometimes I'm kind of like, do I even really belong with these people? They're pretty outstanding. Like, maybe I should like help them, like, be their runner or go get them food. Then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm here too. I'm
Yes.
part of this. But it's wonderful to see. It's so encouraging. I'm seeing people smile and talk to each other. I'm seeing people help each other out. Via is a lot more than just a street painting festival, honestly. I think that's why it holds my attention like it does. just all the years of seeing camaraderie, meeting people, making friends. Um, I'll have people come into work. They were like, "Hey, I saw you drawing the other day. I didn't want to interrupt you." When I'll
Yeah.
have, people, they'll send pictures, "Hey, is this you sitting here? Because my friend was over here." And it is just so cool knowing that, you're part of this bonding, a part of a happy day for somebody. And like you said, even if you're just like, okay, I'm hungry, I'm going to go to this food truck. Well, on the way to the food truck, you're seeing
See a
people out,
lot.
you're
Yep.
seeing kids playing, you're seeing artwork, and it's going to take your brain away from whatever was weighing it down for even just a few moments.
Absolutely. And it is awesome. We've talked to a few of artists, and it's such a fraction. We've talked to some amazing people who have been invested for so long, between Jeff and Carrie, and I mean
Yeah.
Joel the last couple of years, and then Steve Sprunger last year. I know that was his first year, but there's so much amazing art just in those. But I can still look back at pictures from last year, and there's so many more stories to be told. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that, I
Yeah.
think it's really cool. I always like to say, like, who was it who gave us the idea? Was it Jeff, to walk up on the walking bridge
Mhm.
the first time we talked to Jeff? And that's one of the coolest things, because it is such like a storyboard of just art around all of the concrete
Absolutely.
that you can see, you know.
And it was cool
Actually,
to.
that's funny you said that. Again, the other day at work, I had a reporter for the Courier Journal in, and we were chatting, and I don't know how it came up, and I was like, "Well, are you going, to Via Colori?" He's like, "Wait a minute, what is that?" And I told him, and I showed him some photos. One of them was from the Big Four Bridge someone had taken, and he was like, "Oh my God!" So he said that if he can't personally make it, he's still going to make sure that he's got photographers there. He said these are
Awesome.
award-winning shots up here, so
Yeah,
hopefully we'll get some
that's
good
awesome.
publicity in the newspaper, online, extra online.
Yeah. That's awesome, because it goes back to what Tim was saying the other day. It's the best festival you've never heard of. Like, so
That's
many people
perfect.
still haven't heard of it, but why not? There's everything there for 2 days. There's everything you could want, and it's amazing.
Very much. And that's exactly it. It is everything you can want. It's family friendly, or you can just wander, put your earbuds in and wander and just look. You're right there on the river. There's swings there, like grown up swings and kid swings. There's so much. That's perfect. It's the greatest festival you've never heard of. I love that. Although I'm gonna make sure and change that. Like, oh, I'm gonna tell everybody.
Yes.
That's always the goal, right? And that's what it takes, is word of mouth. And I mean, I've been trying to tell everybody at work and everything too, but um,
Oh,
I feel like it's one of those things. Once people go once, they're gonna remember to go back.
you know what? You're right. I think so too. And then when they see like cool little things, like, I had, it was the year before last. Again, I'm gonna fangirl over Ethan Almighty. So his person is walking him by, and I look up and I tell my husband, I was like, "Oh, that's Ethan." He's like, "Yeah, that is." I mean, and I'm like, I dropped all of my chalk. I'm running up, "Can I please pet this dog?" Well, where I had posted the photos, they were like, Ethan was down at Via Colori. And people came down like that next day. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't know if Ethan was there or not, but people still came
yeah,
down. So,
that's
like,
awesome.
the doggies fans saw where we were and took interest in it. So I'm like, I'm cool with that crossover.
Yep,
Definitely.
that's perfect, and that's all it takes. That's fun. Um, so I know you have an Ireland connection too, right? And I only have to ask
Yeah.
because I've seen your pictures of Ireland, and I so badly want to go to Ireland. I'm told I'm Irish, so
Oh, man. If you ever want to go, you can go with this. My husband is actually from Northern Ireland.
okay, that's awesome. I
So,
thought you had said that before, but yeah,
as a heck of a
that's
story. There was an internet music channel called or site called Django, and it wasn't any kind of hookup site. Like you would just kind of pick your favorite music, and it would suggest other person's stations. So mine came across his little profile one day over Comba Christ of all bands, and so he sends me this message, and I'm like, I don't know anyone in Belfast. I'm not talking to him, and something was pecking at me to do it. So we're just like, hi, how are you? We talk about music forever and ever. Not even, hey, did you have a good weekend? But,
just
dude, did you
music.
hear the new CD by so and so? And it just kind of evolved. And
It's awesome.
yeah, he eventually was like, I love you. Now he tells me this. I'm packing to go to a rockabilly convention in Vegas. And he tells me this. So we had this 9-hour phone call back when they still charge. So it cost like $1,000. Best
Oh no.
$1,000 I ever spent. But yeah, he immigrated here for me. And I figure I should keep him.
That's crazy. That is a crazy story. And so, but you've actually been able to travel to Ireland too. So how has that been? Like, how is that like culture shock? Like, have you talked about Via or anything there? Like, do they have any kind of festivals like that or
They don't really like that because it rains a lot. I mean, they've
makes
got cool
sense?
festivals, but not the street painting
Not
festivals. And
street stuff,
all
yeah.
of our friends, they comment on it. They're like, "This is so cool, Debs. This is so neat." And
I'm hearing
and
all
they
that in an Irish
they
accent.
enjoy seeing it. They look forward to it. My mother-in-law, she's constantly, like all day.
That's
Well, the
awesome.
next weekend, both days, she'll be checking constantly to see what I post. And I love it.
That
You
is
know,
awesome. And it's awesome to see like that's really just another layer of kind of I guess that area of the world connection between your work being dedicated to Ray, and then having that Northern Ireland connection is awesome too. It just kind of feeds in. So were you all married when you met Ray, or did that happen after?
we were married. We were married.
Okay,
Actually, Paul
so
never
it
got
just
to meet
all
him.
like,
I'm so sad about
oh,
that. Although he definitely got to meet, Chris and her husband and Sue.
awesome
And
when they came
actually,
in.
it was kind
Yeah,
of cool. We ended up getting to hang out with them. We were the ambassadors,
yeah.
and which was fabulous. I mean, lifelong friends right there. So, like the first time we ended up taking them to an Irish pub, and I'm like, look, I said, I'm not bringing you here to give you a taste of home. I said, but right now, the city is just alive. I said, and you're not going to be able to sit down and eat any place that they hear your accent. I was like, if we go here, nobody cares about the accent and the food is good. So we did that. And then it's like, all right, now we're going to go to a bar and have a good time. And it was absolutely delightful. They had never been to a bar like the one we went to, and it was so cute. I was like, look at them. They're having a good time.
That's awesome.
But
I
actually,
heard.
funny connection. It's because of my husband. I got into Warhammer, and that's one of the things I
Okay,
bonded with Ray.
and that's what. It's a small world. It's another one of those synchronicity moments. It's wild how that
Absolutely.
happens.
Of all things, it's like the greatest loves of my life here are connected to really bizarre things. It's like met my husband through Comba Christ music and met one of the greatest friends I've ever had with Warhammer.
Right. That's amazing though, and it adds to all of the lore that Dusty always kind of says that's behind Via, and it's awesome to hear more about that from your side of it. Because I mean, like last year we got to talk to Christine, and then it was just again awesome to hear your side. I think those stories are what need to be talked about more. And again, I've said it before. Those are the stories that the 5-minute news segments that do get done, WLKY or WDRB or whoever does it, you don't hear these stories that go into
True.
it. It's just, hey, it's a street art festival. They donate their money to Girl Scouts, and you don't hear all of the love and the passion and the triumphs and the losses, frankly, that you hear being able to actually talk to the individuals. So,
You know what?
uh,
That's a great point you're making. I think community wide, if people actually heard why we're there, if they heard us speak about our fellow artists, I think if they could see, like hear the interaction, I really think that would hit the community more than, hey, dig deep, here's a fundraiser, but it's pretty. Because sometimes I feel like that is how they portray things. And even kind of how they portray Via when you see the little 5-minute clip. Hey, here's a fundraiser, give them money, go look at it.
yeah. Yep. And the artists do their best in those like 10, 15 seconds they got to explain it, but that's really not enough time to
Right.
talk to somebody and understand the dynamic. Um, I think that just changes the whole discussion when you talk about Via. And honestly, for Via to be as amazing as it has continued to be for so long is a tribute to just the familial nature of it. It is all of you who have been going for years and years, keeping it alive. We're honored that Dusty reached out to us before last year just to kind of talk about it, and it's been amazing being able to talk to so many different people involved and hear so many different aspects. And there's still more. There's still so much more to hear
Right.
because it's been going for so long and what's been keeping it alive for so long. But it's
I
always
remember when
awesome.
it was just down in Elizabethtown. Did you ever
Yeah.
go? Did you ever happen to see Via Colori down in E-Town?
We
We've heard
never
stories, but we
yeah.
didn't get to experience it. No.
Yep.
Yeah, Leg in E-Town's town square there doing drawings. It was fabulous though. Again, we had a fixed site, a Red Cross fixed site down there. And one day, one of the donors, was talking about all them drawings down there. And I explained what it was. And so, long story short, I ended up walking him down there and showing him, what I did, what several other people did. And this guy was blown away. He had been under the impression it was just, bunch of crazy punks down there doing graffiti, and to
Right.
be able to take that moment to explain it all to him. And from then on, he was great. He'd come in, have you done any more artwork? Have your friends
Love
done any
that.
more artwork? And I thought it was pretty sweet.
I love that because we've done a couple of little segments on like street art, graffiti art, really, and just like the history behind it. Because I think there is a certain passion there, and there have been like different cities who put up like special walls to allow for that expression of art. And I think it's amazing, but I think one thing that Via Colori does is it gives people that ability to paint on a different canvas
Yes.
freely. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about anything. But it's also seeing different buildings down in like the Highlands where the building owners let people just graffiti on them. There's some amazing pieces that are done there. But
Most definitely.
it does lend a different meaning to the term street art, but they're both so valid in their own right, and it's awesome.
And I think actually it seems like now that we're having, we're seeing more murals around on the different buildings. We're seeing like pop-up areas, hey, sign your name, draw a picture here. We've got bars that are like, hey, right all over the walls.
Yep.
I think kind of hand in hand, we have seen more people coming through Via. I've noticed that. I mean, where it's not just, gotten bigger, but I see more people coming around to look. Maybe it's me. I could be crazy. I think I probably, yeah.
No, I do think the term street art makes people intrigued, and especially when it's a festival, um, because most people do think graffiti, like you
Right.
said. And so they're like, wait a minute, how is that possible? And then, I mean, when you see the signs posted around, and then when you find out it's free, it's like, well, why not? And it's right down the road from the skate park, so plenty of people see it anyways from there. So,
Right. And I like seeing people like step out of their comfort zone to come see something like that. It's amazing how many people turn their nose up at the thought of, oh, street art, graffiti. Oh, no, no, no. Like, there's going to be crazy gang, some weird sharks
right.
versus jet gang crap, I mean, it's like, no, that's not what this is, This is showing you art, showing the community
Oh,
art, encouraging people to feel inspired and make donations, to be able to help this charity, to look at this artwork and then go see a vendor who's worked so hard on their wares and say, I went to an art festival and I'm bringing home artwork.
yeah.
It's to me, I'm hoping that people are inspired and they'll see maybe a particular artist or even an artist who's not there, and when they see, like, say they've got a show at a coffee shop or a show at a pizza parlor or an actual gallery show, that they'll be inclined to be like, you know what, let's see what they have.
Yeah.
It's just kind of something that tends to hopefully open minds saying, oh, this is really beautiful. Louisville and the areas around Louisville have some extremely talented people. What else can I see here?
And that's been kind of the entire basis behind this whole podcast endeavor is highlighting cool people doing cool things in and around Louisville. That's kind of what we've always tried to say, and Via Colori really accentuates that. It's been really cool to be able to talk about it and again learn more about it over the last couple of years. I mean, it's been really cool to see what like Kayla has been doing with everything she
Oh,
does. I mean, she's been
So
killing
talented.
it this year, or in the
I'm not gonna
last
lie,
year.
she is one of my favorite artists of all time. And then, I mean, her art, outstanding. But meeting her, and she's the most beautiful and graceful and humble and intriguing people I've ever met. Like, she is just this fire in the middle of cold. She's just, you want to be around her, you want to talk to her, you want her to give you a hug. Like, I'm so inspired by her. And she speaks not just for a people, but for all people. And her art just, I feel like it's this beautiful pathway that leads people into stepping out of stereotypes and norms where they normally think, okay, well, here's my painting of a house with two trees. Not that I'm knocking that, I'm not. However, when people perceive art in a certain box, that, we're like, oh, well, this is a nice piece of art hanging up at the doctor's office. When they see something that is equally beautiful or more beautiful, that's different from that piece they see at the hotel or the doctor's office, it's, I don't know how to describe how wonderful that is. Just where people blossom, I guess, where their taste can change. It's kind of like eating chicken nuggets all your life, and then suddenly you try Indian food, right?
Hey, my 6-year-old would argue that chicken nuggets are for life. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I completely get it. She was awesome when we got to talk to her last year ahead of last year's Via, and seeing what she did, it was awesome. And then again, seeing all the progress just on Facebook, just everything she's been doing, all the different like fairs and showings, and it's amazing.
It is.
It's just awesome to see, and it's awesome to see all of that come together at Via from so many different walks of life, you know, like we were saying, you can be there for anything, whether it's music or food or the vendors, you know, there's I mean, Dusty's going to be a vendor this year and she has some crazy things in the works. So you never know what you're going to see. So it's really awesome. And then of course the art. And I think something that most people wouldn't necessarily know to look for, though, is also the sponsors, you know.
Right.
Of course, the memorial paintings, it's sponsored a lot of times by the family. And but then I know there's just so many other sponsors that sponsor so many spaces. And I think that going back to the community aspect that you mentioned, it shows which companies are really invested in the smaller festivals of the community instead of like the Louder Than Lifes or the Bourbon and
Right.
Beyonds.
Yeah, it speaks loudly of the sponsors. The fact that, I mean, they could choose to put that money into, oh, here's an ad in this paper, or here's, an ad that they're going to put up. They invested in the artwork. And, and I always, whenever I've done this prior to doing me in honor of, I've always promoted my sponsor. Whoever I see, I make sure and I tell people again at work, I'm telling people, oh, I
Yeah,
did this for this business.
right.
I did it for this business. Here's their number.
Yeah.
So I like to promote that because you know what? They gave me the chance to express myself. They gave me the chance to have a day where I can step out of everything I worry about, everything I've got on my plate outside of there. No, for that day, I get to do that for them, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And it's awesome. Again, it goes back to the community aspect that they're willing to invest back into the community, and they understand how important the mission is for what Via is trying to do, and the Girl Scouts in general. I mean, we've of course talked to Dusty many times, but we all got to talk to Tanya last year to really hear the Girl Scout side of it. So, and it was awesome to connect with them last year at the festival too, and really see where it's all going. So.
Right, to hear the numbers and see like how like it literally supports their camping. Like if it wasn't for this, so many girls wouldn't be able to go to their camps for the summer.
Right. And like I'll tell you, okay, back when I was a kiddo, I will never forget. I was a Girl Scout. I remember my leader's name. Her name was Eldora Slack, the coolest, greatest woman ever. And outside of the camping thing, because at the time, we didn't have the money to send me, and they didn't have the resources. However, she had organized a talent show. Now here I am, I was always like kind of the fat, ugly kid. I did my own thing, and she encouraged me. She was like, no, perform, honey. She didn't make me, but she encouraged it. And she knew that I would like when my aunt had parties and stuff, I'd always be downstairs dancing, or I'd skate around the basement. So I actually ended up dancing to that song Le Freak by Chic. But I remember feeling so good because people were cheering for me. And, the parents, however, people clapped and they encouraged me to dance. And that was big for me as a kid, because unfortunately in the 70s, you had people, you're too big to dance, you shouldn't do that, et cetera, et cetera. I had support there, and that has stuck with me all my life. I mean, I'm 54.
Awesome.
They probably told me this when I was 7. So that's a heck of a lesson I've carried with me,
Definitely. And I think, Via does that same thing for so many girls, especially with the Girl Scout involvement. I have a daughter, of course, and I have 4 sisters, so I definitely understand. My sisters were in Girl Scouts, so we got plenty of cookies, but they did a few years in Girl Scouts too, so it was always awesome to see. I think my parents volunteered and I had to go to the camps at one of the camps at some
Oh,
point. So it was a long time ago, but yeah, it is very important. It's experiences that a lot of kids wouldn't get otherwise, like a lot of girls wouldn't get otherwise, and a lot of encouragement, and especially doing stuff like this, like you said, we had Girl Scouts come up and interview us. They wanted to be part of the media team. There's Girl
see, I
Scouts who
love
help
that.
planning, and there's Girl Scouts who help run the booths, and there's Girl Scouts who do so many different things just in a volunteer aspect. And there's so much scariness when it comes to entering the workforce. A lot of us don't really encounter these types of scenarios until we enter the workforce, and they're getting to break into that early where that's just going to be a comfortable leap for
And
them.
one thing that I think is cool is like when we go to get like more chalk pastels, they've got all the Girl Scouts there, to assist. But I love to be able to go to them and say, "Hey, can I have this?" Because you can just tell that, these girls, like, they feel like they've managed something. It's really interesting. You talk about these workforce skills. It's not just some adult running over them like, "Hey, give me that green over there." No,
Right.
I like to be like, "Hey, I need to get this. Do you have this?" So
Exactly.
I kind of like to put that in their court, and you can see this like mission they're on. And there was one girl last 2 years ago, there was a specific green I was looking for and it wasn't there. And she said, "Is there something else we can work with?" And as it was, she ended up
Yeah.
finding more of them a little later. And she found me and came to me and she's like, so professional. She's like, "These are the ones you requested." And you talk about that. She probably felt great. Like she probably felt
Absolutely.
like, she was a problem solver and she had, done a good job managing and had some great customer service there. You talking about that, I guarantee that probably kind of gave her that boost of self-confidence for a bit.
Oh, yeah. And that goes back to the community development aspect of the whole thing. When those are going to be our community leaders in a few years, it really shows what we put in is what we get out. And
Right.
being able to give them those experiences is just awesome. I love seeing it in Annabelle too. I mean, she's kind of been trying to practice her drawings and stuff, but we'll see what she does.
Love it.
It's big that she's even trying, that she said yes.
I think it's amazing.
Last week when it was like 12 days or something when we talked to Dusty, and I was bringing up all the website and stuff, and she said, "How many days are left?" I said 12. She said, "Oh no, that I'm not ready."
Aw.
And
Well, you know what? I think a lot of the artists are pretty vague with what they're going to do. I mean, this year
yeah,
I had about 4 ideas floating around because I didn't get anything specific from Christine. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And I've just narrowed it down to something that, we're going to honor the Welsh.
there you go. And that's
So,
perfect though. I think that really speaks volumes though to also the street art aspect is people seem to go in with one idea sometimes and then it can completely change by the time they get there. You just end up doing
absolutely.
something
Oh my God,
completely different
absolutely.
because of something you experienced on the way there, or something clicks, and it's just awesome to see.
Yeah, and honestly, you know what? It, it's the street. It's the street art version of like the Great British Baking Show, where they're sitting there like, "Oh my gosh, look, their cake fell apart." You're like, "Oh, this drawing is not going where I need it, and this is the wrong color, and I can't draw this correctly." You're like, "All right, let's try that from here then." Let's
Mhm.
move. Let's move on that way. It is. That's absolutely how it is. What's so cool is like you're usually the only person that knows you made that mistake. I mean, there are
Yep.
things where I'm like, oh my God, my sponsor's going to hate me. They're going to hate this work. They're going to push me into the river. And then they're like, this is amazing. And I'm thinking, don't you see that little spot over
Yeah.
there about that big? They don't.
Nope. I can confidently say everything I saw last year was just amazing. I could have never picked out any flaw in anything. It's way beyond my capabilities. So who am I to say anything? That's just art, and there's a
See, that's
certain
how I see it. I'm always like, this is what somebody put down. This is what they
Yep,
felt like they wanted to put. That mark was there for a
exactly.
reason. And even if the reason got a little skewed or it didn't go where they wanted to, it's there and it's part of the beauty of their piece, you know?
Yep,
It's part of what makes it outstanding. At least that's how I see it.
absolutely. For sure. Oh man. Yeah, I can't wait to see what everybody has in store for this year. I mean, it's five days. 5 days. I can't believe it. I'm not ready. Uh
Almost four.
almost at this point. Yeah, but we can't wait to see what you have in store either. I'm sure it's going to be great. Um it'll be awesome to see just everything, see everybody again. It's been a year, so
No, like it really, seriously, it has flown by. Here it is. I seem like I remember back maybe in April, I was like, yay, Via, that was so fun. 6 months after, that was so much fun. And I'm like, oh, here it is. We got
here,
this.
yep, here it goes. I think
So,
Tim said it last time too. He said you're never really prepared. You just kind of, it's just like, oh, here it is, make it work.
it's something that I will say, um, it tends to flow from inside. Like I've got this weird thing. I've kind of always done this. Is if it doesn't look how I want it to look, ideally, then maybe that's not what's there. On the other hand, if I put it down there and it feels good, it's supposed to be there. That's how I've always done. I guess I've created from the heart, as cheesy as that sounds, from
No,
my
that's
black little
perfect.
heart. No, it's just, I don't know whether it's instinct, serendipity, madness, who knows? But I think when you feel, when you're doing these pieces of artwork, even though there's often moments of regret, we're like, what in the name of God was I thinking when I decided to do this? Holy moly, this is big. And I'm distracted and I'm still going to try to do this. But I think when you get into that zone and it is coming from something inside of you where there's this passion and you're like, it's like you can feel the work you're doing, not just literally because your fingers hurt, but there's something in you that you feel it. And and that's something else I wish that the public could know. They're like, we can go down and witness people at their most vulnerable and their most strong and their most creative, and they're putting their emotions into this, their humanity, their soul is right here on this piece of concrete. I think if people
Yep.
saw that and really thought about it, they'd be more drawn to experience it.
Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to capture every time we talk to anybody. And that just goes back to the difference between a 5-minute news segment. No offense to WDRB, WLKY, whoever does it, but it's just the difference between being able to sit down and have the full conversation. And because we can still take some of this and condense it down into smaller statements, you know what I'm saying, that
Right.
people can see, but we allot the time for the full conversation too. And if you want the full story, you have to hear all of the conversations, and that's just a book as long as time. Really.
It's worth the read, though.
It is.
It's often
It
worth the
is.
read.
And we're doing our best to try to capture it at least
I
over the
love
last
it.
couple
You
of
guys
years.
are so amazing. I absolutely love like your focus and your mission. You guys are so outstanding. All of you.
Thank you. It's Dusty brought us in, and we've just kind of followed her lead since, and just tried to
See,
keep
I told
talking
you
about
she's got
it.
that crazy
She
like
does.
thing where you can't tell her no. Like she gets you and pulls you in, and it's worth it. And I wouldn't change a thing.
It's contagious.
It's definitely contagious, but
Yeah,
been awesome.
it is.
So, thank you so much for joining us
Oh my
today.
God.
Thank you for
Thank you.
talking
I am
to
so
us and-
like humbled. Thank you so much, Aaron. You guys are outstanding.
we appreciate it, and we can't wait to see again what you have in store, what everybody has in store, from the art to the music, the vendors. It's going to be an awesome time, and it's 5 days away. So
Saturday.
hope to see everybody there, and we'll definitely see you there. Make sure to catch up.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
anything you need, let me know.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Interests of the greater good for me to smoke a joint and calm down.
I am the greatest. He'll fall an ace to prove that I'm great. And if he keeps talking jive, I'm gonna cut it to 5.